Craving the coffee flavor you love, but without the caffeine? Kachava's got you covered with their newest coffee flavor. This all-in-one nutrition shake delivers bold, authentic flavor crafted from premium decaffeinated Brazilian beans. Quality nutrition shouldn't be complicated. Just 2 scoops of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake, and you've got 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, and so much more. Whether you're craving that coffee taste to kickstart your morning ritual, or as a nutrient-packed reward to round out your afternoon, Kachava keeps you fueled and satisfied wherever your day takes you. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. And for the times you feel like switching it up, you've got 7 flavors to choose from, all with the highest quality ingredients. Treat yourself to the flavor and nutrition your body craves. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS. New customers get 15% off their first order. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
Carney and Poilievre lock horns on gas taxes, inflation, and crossing the floor. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
All the news you need to know.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
The Wellington Street War of Words. Poilievre versus Carney in the House of Commons during the daily question period, with a recent quip from the opposition leader serving as the backdrop. Speaking with my friend Chris Sims from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, Pierre Poilievre questioned Mark Carney's academic credentials.
There's one thing that's worse than being uneducated, and it's being badly educated. And Mr. Carney is very badly educated on economics. And that is why he has been wrong on every single economic issue of our time, every one of them.
That clip is courtesy of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and the Prime Minister was asked about that remark this week by Tonda McCharles of the Toronto Star.
Pierre Poilievre called you badly educated in economics, and
he
did.
Wow.
So I'd like to hear a little bit about...
Can I take back my previous answer? No, that's a joke.
Mark Carney's resume includes being the governor of 2 central banks. The Prime Minister has a bachelor's degree in economics from Harvard, a master's degree in economics from Oxford, and a PhD in economics, also from Oxford. So the Prime Minister seemed to be champing at the bit and more than happy to duke it out on economics and academics with his political rival during this week's one and only appearance featuring the two in the House of Commons.
What we are not doing is what the Leader of the Opposition is proposing, which is to substantially increase the deficit, something he's regularly against by more than $3 billion, because this government can count, Mr. Speaker. This government can count.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
What he is not doing is increasing the deficit. It's only up by 100% since he took office, Mr. Speaker.
At one point, the two leaders could be seen smiling at one another, laughing at each other's barbs as members from both sides pounded on their desks and heckled their colleagues.
In fact, all the money printing that he does, because he's famous for causing inflation, he's made a career out of it. Statistics Canada has made it clear that the gap between rich and poor is now greater than it's ever been in a report published just this week. One of the biggest taxes on the poor is the gas tax. Instead of just removing a third of the tax for the third of the year, why not get rid of the entire Liberal tax on gas for the whole year?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, one thing I've learned in my economics education is you've got to study history and you've got to look at numbers. My record as a central bank governor is inflation less than 2% at the Bank of Canada, inflation less than 2% at the Bank of England. But let's get back to where we are today, which is wages in this country are growing at more than twice the rate of inflation, and I'll spell it out for the member opposite. That means Canadians are getting ahead.
At one point, the Prime Minister seemed to mock Pierre Poilievre, likening himself to a professor handing out failing grades to students.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I'm in the presence of students. And on an exam, I don't think you would pass the exam with those answers. Mr. Speaker, as the IMF confirmed yesterday, Canada will have the second fastest growth in the G7 this year. As the IMF confirmed yesterday, we have the best fiscal position in the G7. Point final. As we have confirmed, we have the highest foreign direct investment per capita in the world.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, the Liberal arrogance. You can cut through it with a knife.
The pair didn't just spar over gas taxes and the cost of living. The Prime Minister couldn't help but take a swipe at Poilievre over floor crossings and this week's by-elections.
Mr. Speaker, to learn a lesson, you have to have ears to hear. There are some on the benches opposite who've been listening, Mr. Speaker. And they will notice that wages are growing more than twice the rate of inflation in this country. They will notice that rents have gone down relative to incomes for 33 straight months. They will notice that I am out of time.
Won't be nearly as animated today in question period in Ottawa as it was yesterday. Prime Minister Mark Carney is not expected to be in the House today, and Mr. Poilievre is giving a speech in Toronto on economics. Still ahead for us, National Post columnist Michael Taube on everything that has happened in politics this week, floor crossings, by-election results, a Liberal majority government, and our Newsday panel. And on Thursdays, it's Focus Nova Scotia. Lots to talk about there. Inclusionary zoning and studies about regional rail for the Halifax and surrounding area. It's a busy program ahead. It includes Talkback in the final 2 hours of our show today. Hope you can join us and stay with us. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
He's my friend on the right side of things. Michael Taube is a columnist with the National Post, Loonie Politics, and Troy Media. He was a speechwriter for former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. He's with us every Thursday. Welcome back.
Hey, Rob. How are you doing today?
Very good, Michael. Great to hear from you. I want to focus on at least one aspect of the by-elections that were held this past Monday. Clean sweep for the Liberals, Liberal majority government.
Yeah.
Some members of the press gallery are convinced that the Conservative Party's performance in these three ridings, where the party's share of the vote fell, is another indication of questions around the leadership of Pierre Poilievre. What do you think of that?
I don't think much of it, and it's not accurate either. You said it right off the top. These are three ridings that the Conservatives not only have not held, in many cases, if ever, a long time, have had a very poor vote share for quite a number of years and quite a number of elections. And most importantly, we're not favored to win any of the three of them. You know, it was almost just more of a matter of curiosity of where they would finish. The fact that their numbers went a bit down, yeah, it's unfortunate, but in by-elections, that's not terribly uncommon. But on the other hand, if you look at it this way, the Liberals did quite well in all three and even took Terrebonne, not terribly far away from where you are, which, you know, was a riding that was decided by one seat and then was thrown back into a by-election when there was an envelope from someone who lived in the area who had voted for the Bloc Québécois, but it didn't get to the right station because the address was wrong and there were a variety of things that happened. They won it by about 731 votes. Again, close, but much bigger margin than before. The end result is the Liberals did very well in the by-elections, and that's what people thought would happen. They thought that maybe Terrebonne might go back to the Bloc Québécois. It clearly did not, although the election result was certainly close. And to sit there and think that Pierre Poilievre's leadership is in some jeopardy because of three by-elections that he was not going to win in three ridings which are not Conservative strongholds, it's a nice dream, and I know there's lots of critics of Mr. Poilievre. It doesn't hold water at all.
Okay. I mean, what would have to happen, do you think? Like, take University Rosedale, for example, in your city. The Conservative candidate there saw their support halved by what it was in last year's federal election.
Right.
I mean, tell us about University Rosedale, for example, and what the Conservatives would have to do to win there.
Nothing. The problem is that's not a winnable riding. It hasn't been winnable since the old Progressive Conservative Party of Canada collapsed, and it's been a very long time since we were competitive here. And even when the PC party was around, it was a very difficult riding to win. You could sometimes do it provincially, but federally was very hard. University of Rosedale I actually know quite well because, ironically, my father actually lives in the riding, so I know it. It's not terribly far away from where I grew up. I can tell you that it is not a conservative stronghold. It's a very left-leaning riding. A lot of people in the arts and otherwise have lived there for many, many years. There really isn't much you can do, even if the Conservatives, which they're not going to do, and ladies and gentlemen, you can keep talking about till the cows come running home, it's not happening. If they went for the most left-leaning Conservative in Canada's history and put him or her as the leader of the party, it still wouldn't make a difference. It's just not a riding that's winnable for the Conservatives. And, you don't want to obviously keep throwing sacrificial lamb after sacrificial lamb into the mix, but that's what you do based on the fact that maybe there'll be enough frustration and something weird will happen in the riding that hasn't happened in its history in a long time, but the chances of it are about zero.
Okay, so one by one, the press gallery has been cornering Conservative MPs all week on the Hill. What about Poilievre? This is a Poilievre problem. Do you need to swap leaders, change leaders, have a leadership race? What do you think about that? Does Pierre Poilievre deserve another shot at leading this party into the next election? What do you think?
Of course he does. He got 87% in the leadership review. It would be unheard of. It would be the equivalent of a political mutiny if they pulled him down now. It's not tangible. It's not worth thinking about. And more importantly, it's not necessary. The Liberals are on the upswing. No one is questioning that. Prime Minister Mark Carney is a very popular politician. No one is questioning that. The Liberals are doing very well overall, as we've seen in the last 3 by-elections. No one is questioning that. Basically, what Pierre Poilievre has to do for the next 3+ years or so is he has to reimagine his strategy and re-emphasize certain goals. And basically, I think the way to do it is he has to continue to act like a statesman, as he's doing right now. When he goes on Joe Rogan and other podcasts, he looks like a leader. He talks like a leader. And I think he has to still be a bit of a pit bull at times, but he has to sort of know how to use it or how to do it. Like, for example, and maybe you've talked about on your radio show, he had a recent interview on Juno News with Chris Sims, an old friend who's with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, who's an extremely good radio host. Basically, they talked about, the fact that, they talked about Mr. Carney in economics, and he basically said that in a large form, he just sort of wasn't well educated when it came to economics. A lot of people, and I'm just paraphrasing naturally, but a lot of people took umbrage to it, but very quickly, look at Mr. Carney's reaction, the fact that he sort of shrugged, moved his head, tilted around. He laughed it off, but he was clearly bothered by it because, as many British journalists have said in the past, Rob, he has an anger issue. He's just been able to control it, to his credit, but it's there. You don't just lose it.
Okay. When we return with Michael Taube, I want to ask Michael this idea. EU member state, Canada joining the EU. It's an idea that's out there. I'd like to know what you think of it, Michael, when we come back. This is News Radio.
No question goes unasked or unanswered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow returns on News Radio.
Here with Michael Taube, columnist with the National Post, Loonie Politics, Troy Media, speechwriter for former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Just a bit of breaking news, if you'll allow me, Michael. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. He says it will go into effect at 5 o'clock Eastern time today. So in about 4.5 hours from now, we'll have more during our bottom hour newscast. I want to ask you about this idea that's floating around.
Sure.
Canada joining the EU, the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that idea?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we can look at it as a realistic fashion and a fantasy, if you'd like. The fantasy would be nice. Obviously, there would be some benefit to Canada joining the EU. Obviously, we would be included in major trade deals and wouldn't have to make many on our own. you'd be part of a trading bloc, which is immense. You would have access to, to a lot of the countries in ways that you wouldn't necessarily, whether it be business-wise or travel and tourism. So, if you want to look at it from a fantasy point of view, certainly there is some logic to it. The reality is it doesn't make any sense. Besides the fact that North America would not fit into the EU, whether it be the United States, which obviously would never do it or have to do it, us or Mexico. This is unfortunately just the way Prime Minister Mark Carney sort of looks at the world. He looks at it as sort of like, they call it, a European-centric or a Europophile, if you wish, where he actually just, his whole issue or his whole mantra is that he would like to be back in the UK, where he was the governor of the Bank of England. He has a great affinity for Europe, and I understand that, and there's nothing wrong with Europe. No one's questioning that. But the reality is that even though Canada obviously has many Europeans or people of European descent who live here, the EU wouldn't necessarily want us. We don't have a lot to offer them, and it would be very difficult to do it. So I don't think it's real.
I guess I just kind of view it as through the Eurosceptic lens. I'm just sort of viewing it that way. The way, just thinking about the frustrations that were expressed, for example, during Brexit from people like Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
Do we really want things like agricultural policy or emissions policy, things like this? Do we want those decisions made in Brussels or Strasbourg, or do we want those made in Ottawa? Right? What do you think about that?
I think those are many very good points. You're right. Brexit is actually a great one. Imagine if Canada was wrapped up in that. We're already frustrated enough right now with U.S. President Donald Trump and tariffs, which obviously, even if it went to an international court, and there is obviously an appeal mechanism, it's just a huge rigmarole that's hard to deal with. Imagine if we were caught in the line of fire of Brexit, even if it wasn't direct, it would still be indirect. It would have been an absolute mess. So no, from the Eurosceptic side, and I think you're right to look at it that way, it would be a terrible move for Canada to do it. Not because there's anything against Europe or the European Union. It's got its good points and bad points, obviously, the EU. I just don't think it would be a logical move for us to move there. It's better to just build upon, the Canada-US-Mexico agreement or NAFTA 2.0, if you like, and try to find a way to resolve things with the United States and get back to the point where we're great friends, allies, trading partners, military partners, and whatnot. That is the better move, not the EU.
Okay. Great to hear from you this week. We'll get caught up next week, Michael. Always fun.
Sounds good, Rob. Take care.
Yep, that's YouTube. That's Michael Taube, columnist with the National Post, Loonie Politics, Troy Media, and a speechwriter for former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. When we come back, our Thursday Newsday panel focus Nova Scotia with a lot to talk about with our political experts. This is News Radio.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Now you know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
With our Thursday Newsday panel, Focus Nova Scotia on Thursdays, as we welcome back Clinton Desveaux, columnist and political commentator. Clinton, great to hear from you again. Hi there.
Pleasure to be here, Rob. Thank you very much.
And Lisa Blackburn, former Halifax City Councillor and NDP candidate. Hi, Lisa. Welcome back. Great to hear from you again.
Hello there. Thank you so much for having me back. Enjoy this.
So I want to begin by talking about residential development. I was taking some calls yesterday during Talkback. One of the callers said, you look across the skyline of Halifax right now, it's cranes, and there's lots of residential development happening. So before the Regional Municipality Council was inclusionary zoning, which is always controversial, no matter where it's debated. Inclusionary zoning, for those who may be unaware, it's municipalities requiring developers to set aside a percentage of units in new developments for affordable housing or subsidized housing. So the HRM Council debated this. The previous HRM Council supported it, but this council rejected it. Lisa, what do you think of that decision?
For me, as someone who previously supported inclusionary zoning, I do find the decision to be disappointing. But listen, I get it. I understand the pressure. There's an urgent need to build housing and quickly. And there's certainly a build mindset that is real, and it absolutely matters. But I worry that in focusing only on the speed of building, we're losing an important opportunity to right design Halifax for the future. And it should be interesting, it should be noted too that in Halifax, developers also have the choice to pay a cash equivalent rather than build a certain number of affordable units. So the inclusionary zoning only comes into play when a developer wants to go over and above what is zoned for an area. So a developer is planning a 16-story building in an area that's only zoned for 14 stories. Then for every extra, square footage that this developer, gets, they have to either set aside units for affordable housing or pay a cash equivalent. And what we used to do was take that money that developers would pay as a cash equivalent and set it aside in a fund that only affordable housing groups could access as grants. So, the money was going to affordable housing come hell or high water. So either the developers were going to build the units or they were going to pay a cash equivalent that would then be given to housing groups to build affordable housing.
Clinton, what did you think of this decision to reject inclusionary zoning?
To be honest with you, Rob, I have some issues around the idea of the phrase affordable housing.
Okay.
Look, my view is the more supply we have, then we should naturally see prices come down. And the issue that I have with affordable housing is what's affordable to one person isn't affordable to another. And I'm not sure that municipal governments and bureaucracy can really figure out what is quote unquote affordable. And so for me, what I would like to see happen is I would like to see as much infilling as possible. There are still too many empty parking lots on both sides of Halifax, Dartmouth waterfronts. I'd also like to see all exclusionary zoning eliminated. So if someone wants to put up a triplex or a quadplex or what have you in whatever neighborhood anywhere in city boundaries, I think that should be encouraged. I also think that all height limitations should be eliminated. So if somebody wants to put up a 65-story building like the ones that we've seen being built in Ottawa recently, then, that should be allowed in Halifax as well. Because the reality is that the more height you allow to be built, it allows developers to recoup those costs, which in theory can allow for a floor or two of quote unquote affordable housing. And so I think we need to rethink the model altogether, quite frankly.
Okay. I want to just pick your brain on something else, and it's along the same lines. Unlike some other big cities, Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, Halifax doesn't have what I would call a municipal housing corporation. And I'm not saying that, Ottawa Community Housing, which is the municipal corporation I'm most familiar with, is any great model. When I was doing radio in Ottawa, we used to say the biggest slumlord in Ottawa is the city of Ottawa. But as I understand it, social housing is managed by the provincial government now through the Nova Scotia Provincial Housing Agency. That's 11,000 housing units across the province. The Houston government merged many regional housing authorities to streamline operations, cut wait times for units, reduce the repair backlog. But Lisa, what's your sense of how that's going?
Yeah, and Halifax once upon a time did have its own housing authority, the Metro Housing Authority, but that once amalgamation took place, that was taken off of HRM's plate and given to the province. And you're right, they centralized the whole model back in 2022 and created this regional housing authority. So like your Torontos and your Montreals and your Ottawas, Halifax has very, very limited input on the subsidized housing. Certainly it's something that discussed. We, as a council, asked for a study into taking back housing, and it was recommended that not happen just because of the state of the housing stock. Unfortunately, the province took it over, but didn't keep it up. And I think that really matters more now than ever.
Okay. I'll ask you about that, Clinton, but we'll have to stop here first, and we'll get your thoughts on that, as well as transit, regional rail. Let's talk about that today. Regional passenger rail. Connecting Halifax with rural communities within 100 kilometers of Halifax by rail. What do you think of that idea? When we return to News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Focus Nova Scotia Day with Clinton Desveaux, Lisa Blackburn. You know, Clinton, you're very familiar with Ottawa. You spent some time there. For the longest time, the complaint was the municipality cannot afford to run social housing or public housing all on its own. We need the provincial government to pay some of the costs. It seems here in Nova Scotia, what you really have is a massive upload with the provincial government taking control of the entire social housing complex across that province. But is it working? What do you think?
Well, look, Rob, the reality is that for many, many years, Nova Scotia had not built any sort of public housing for people who desperately need it. And it did take Premier Tim Houston, who was oddly enough, a conservative, progressive conservative premier, to build a substantial amount of public housing, in the greater Halifax area where that housing was most desperately needed. And it's ironic in a sense because we had also had previous, to Mr. Houston, we had an NDP government in Darrell Dexter, and then that was followed by a Liberal government by Stephen McNeil. And Tim Houston was by far, or has been by far, the one most dedicated to building up public housing stock. So it's hard to criticize him for that. And look, do we really need a municipal model if the province has been building? I mean, why create another layer of government if we have one that is doing the work now?
Okay, let's go on to transit. The government wants to connect Halifax with rural communities with 100 kilometers of the city. Looking at regional passenger rail. Think GO trains for Nova Scotia. Clinton, what do you think of that idea?
I'm a fan of Nova Scotia and the greater Halifax area building rail, but we got to learn from the mistakes of Ottawa, right? So for listeners in Halifax who don't know, Ottawa has two rail lines. One of them is called Trillium Line 2, which runs perfectly, and then the other one is called Confederation Line 1, which has been an unmitigated disaster. And so I think Halifax needs to look at the working models of, what works in Toronto, what works in Ottawa, what works in Vancouver, and what doesn't work in those cities. Because once you sort of destroy the public trust, it's pretty hard to get it back. And, Halifax is, by recent numbers I've seen, it's either the second or third fastest growing city on a per capita basis across Canada. And, there is a lot of gridlock bringing people in from the suburbs into the city.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And, it is going to become an issue. And it's one that, quite frankly, the Halifax City Council is uncomfortable discussing because in order for it to work, they're going to have to build brand new lines to get rails in and out of the cities on both sides of the harbor.
Okay. What do you think of the idea, Lisa?
Oh, I love the idea. I think it's fantastic. Council, during my time there, we actually we commissioned a study into commuter rail. And I do hope the province has a better go of it than HRM did, because, our plan as a council was let's partner with CN. They own the rails. It would be, scale of economies. We'd be able to do this much less expensive, I guess, than what would be on the books building fresh rails. But CN wasn't really willing to play ball. They told us point blank that their freight traffic would come first. So it would be very difficult to build any sort of commuter rail or rail system that's based on trains that may leave at 9 or maybe leaving at 9:05, depending on the freight traffic, or maybe leaving at 9:30. Like, unless there is consistency, it's just not going to work. So I do hope that the province is able to play ball with CN Rail, the owner of the tracks, so that we can at least get some economy of scale. I mean, this isn't a project yet. It's certainly a study about whether a project makes sense. And certainly I think, corridors that would take people from Windsor in the Valley or Hants East to Halifax, a great idea. But I think this is really about commuter and regional rail and not intercity trains.
Sure. I guess one of the things that I'm wondering, we'll move on to other things, let me make this one comment. I do wonder what kind of culture Halifax has. And by that, I mean, does it have a car culture or does it have a transit culture? In Toronto, transit is part of everyday life in Toronto.
Yeah.
People of affluence and people of low income, they all take transit in Toronto. I know someone who takes the train from Guelph into Union Station every day and home again. It's like 2 hours to get to work on commuter rail. New York City, same thing. It's just, part of life. That's how you get around the city. You take the subway. Can you say the same thing about Halifax? Would they use it?
No.
Rail. Would they use it?
Rail, I think, is a different beast. I mean, Halifax is certainly doing everything it can now to boost transit. They certainly just made a major investment in transit infrastructure that will bring more express buses and things like that. But no, it's not part of the culture here in Halifax, and that's what needs to change big time.
Okay, when we come back, Clinton, you'll be up first. I want to talk about the Premier. He's very bullish on developing the province's natural resources, whether it's uranium or natural gas. He just recently visited Alberta, but you think he has most Nova Scotians on his side when it comes to his ambitions for natural resources development? When we return to Focus Nova Scotia, our Newsday panel here on News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
Back with Clinton Desveaux, Lisa Blackburn, Focus Nova Scotia, our Thursday Newsday panel. Premier Tim Houston very bullish on things like offshore and even frack natural gas. He was the premier that lifted the moratorium on fracking. He's hot about Nova Scotia's uranium potential. He signed a deal with the province of Ontario, linking to that province's nuclear power industry. He just visited Alberta, promoting oil and gas. But do Nova Scotians, do you think, share the premier's ambitions for natural resources development? Clinton, what do you think?
I think that Nova Scotians overwhelmingly support this. And in fact, I think the voices that are critical of it make up what I would call a fringe minority. And it's important to remember that if we are going to build small modular nuclear power across this country, that means we're going to need uranium. If we are going to supply energy to Europe in order to remove, the Russian dictatorship, then that means that we need to have these projects going. And quite frankly, this is good for Nova Scotia's economy. This is good for Nova Scotia jobs. And this is good for the Nova Scotia government itself when it comes to paying for the cost of social programs that all Nova Scotians rightly want and expect from their government.
Lisa, what do you think, Lisa? Are you part of the fringe, Lisa?
I was just going to say, well, just call me the fringe. No, I am cautious about this. And, Premier Tim Houston has made it very clear. His framing is crystal clear. Nova Scotia has rich resources, but we import energy and we should be developing what we have. And that's great, but this is a major policy pivot that didn't feature in the last election campaign much, if at all. So, it is kind of interesting that this is a major policy shift that hasn't had really strong public debate. Even in the legislature, it didn't get much, if any, airtime. And a lot of municipalities and residents have been caught off guard, especially on the uranium exploration piece. The biggest thing that I hear is, yes, absolutely, regions that are looking for jobs and economic development support it. completely. People all are concerned about the energy costs, the economic stagnation. And so, yes, I get there is support, but my big concern is the lack of consultation, and especially with Mi'kmaq communities. I think that definitely needs to be beefed up. If this is the path that the province wants to walk down and the support for the public from the public is there, great, but you can't get this done and done well without consultation with the Indigenous partners in this province.
All right. Thank you to the two of you. Great conversation. I enjoyed it very much. We'll speak soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, great to hear from you. Clinton Desveaux, columnist, political commentator, Lisa Blackburn, former Halifax City Councillor and NDP candidate. Talkback is coming up next. AI. We're going to talk about AI on Talkback today. Real people having a conversation about AI. Just ahead on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. Today's topic is AI. Artificial intelligence, AI. Here's some questions for you. Do you think AI will be transformative? Is AI really going to change the way we live, the way we work, in profound ways? What do you think? Or do you think all the buzz, all the excitement about AI is overblown? It's hype. What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Is it really going to change the way we live, change the way we work, the way some people claim it will? Or is it hype, overblown hype, and many of the claims, you just watch it, they will prove to be exaggerated? 1-833-668-2577. I am not a chatbot. That's our call-in line. I'm also not any kind of expert in AI. I use it. I use it every day. I use it in my professional life. I use it in my personal life, but I certainly don't trust it. I don't trust it. No, I don't. Not right now. I find it can be helpful in ways that, say, traditional internet searches are not. But I often find myself double-checking, triple-checking whatever it is that the AI companion spits out, because there have been times when the information that the technology provides is wrong. And I know it's wrong. So my own personal experience with it is it can be useful, but you have to be very cautious and very careful. I wanted to raise this today because there have been many, many news stories in recent weeks about this technology, stories about what it can do already and what it will be able to do in the very near future. And many of these stories are coming with warnings that we are not ready for what is coming our way. We are not ready as regular people for how profound this technology is going to affect our lives. And the warnings are our governments are not ready at all. And they are not crafting the sort of laws and regulations that should be in place to deal with the challenges that this technology is going to create before you know it. But do you believe any of that? I would love to hear from some people who use the technology, familiar with the technology, people who work in IT, people who follow this, people who have a better idea than I do of what could be coming our way. While I wait for some phone calls, let me run down some of the stories that have been in the news recently. One of them was about the latest AI agent from Anthropic. That is the company that created Claude called Mythos. And the company said that version of AI is so dangerous, it can't be released to the public. It's too smart to be released to the public. And according to the news stories, this version of AI was able to find hundreds of vulnerabilities in things like operating systems and internet browsers and cybersecurity software. And what it was able to, one of the greatest concerns is how fast it was able to do this. It didn't take weeks to find hundreds of vulnerabilities. It did it in days. And it was apparently so alarming that the U.S. Fed and the U.S. Treasury Secretary called a special meeting of all the heads of the major financial institutions in the United States. The CEOs of all the big Wall Street banks were there, for example. And the last time I remember that happening was during the great financial crisis of 08-09. It's been in the news that the Bank of Canada called a similar meeting with leaders of all the big banks in Canada and the Toronto Stock Exchange and the Department of Finance. That's been in the news. Mythos AI, too dangerous to release to the public. It's been released to a few dozen of the world's largest corporations. There was another news story this week about Claude, the AI agent. The same company, Anthropic, has been holding meetings with faith leaders from all the world's major organized religions. And it's been having these meetings because the company wants to build a moral code into its large language models. Company's been having meetings with Christian leaders, Jewish leaders, Islamic faith leaders, Confucian, Hindu, Latter-day Saints, Sikh, Taoist, and more, because the company claims it wants its AI to have ethics and morals and know right from wrong, according to a report in the Washington Post. Another story that's been in the news recently was about ChatGPT, and the top person there, Sam Altman, who published a 13-page document that said AI is going to be so disruptive for society that governments will have to come up with a new social contract, basically an AI social contract. He compared it to the New Deal brought in by FDR in the United States because of the Great Depression. He describes it as a super intelligence New Deal. He is warning that AI will so impact society, governments will need to create things like public wealth funds and have 4-day work weeks. He says governments need to take money from AI companies and invest it and then pay out monthly stipends to people because so many people are going to be out of work. He proposes things like robot taxes, for example, that if a company replaces a human worker with a robot, the company would need to pay a robot tax. The robot tax revenue would go into the public wealth fund. Are we about to be sideswiped by superintelligence? Technology that is so advanced, it is going to change life as we know it. And it's going to happen soon, and some of it is already underway. Or is all of this hype from an industry, high tech, that is always hyping the next big thing? 1-833-668-2577. That's our call-in line. If you've never called before, just mention that. Let's have a real person-to-person conversation today about AI.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
The buzz about AI. Do you think AI will be transformative? Will it change the way we live and work in very profound ways? Or is all the excitement about AI overblown? Is it just hype? I sometimes wonder if there's hype happening here, even hysteria. When a company like Allbirds, for example, Allbirds was in the sneaker business, and then got out of the sneaker business. It recently just changed its name to Allbird AI, and its stock went up 600% in one day just by changing its name. Very reminiscent of the crazy .com days when anything .com was worth a fortune, until it wasn't. But what do you think? Rick in Dartmouth is up first. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Rob. Look, I spent, 50 years in the music business, and AI crept into the music business a few years ago. It kind of slow at first, but currently there's a survey, with SOCAN, the performance rights organization in Canada. And what it is asking its members to do is to lobby against AI creating songs out of thin air. So all you have to do, and this is by example of what could happen in most things. This would take 30 years of professional work to be able to become a great producer, blah, 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 all right? And be able to create a song, right? And have it produced to professional level, like that you could play on the radio. And AI can do that in about, 10 minutes. And it does it because it has scanned all of the music that's ever been produced.
Yeah.
And,
look, if you could, Rick, if I could just interrupt there, Rick, can I just interrupt there? Because I knew that I was hoping that this would come up. Like there have been many singles now that have made it to the charts. Okay, so this is one such song that made it to the country charts. Curtis, can you play that, just a little bit of it there?
You can kick rocks if you don't like how I talk. I'm gonna keep on talking and walk my walk. Ain't changing my tone, ain't changing my song. I was born this way, been loud too long. You can hate my style, you can roll your eyes, but I ain't slowing down, I was born to ride. Talking and walk my walk.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Totally AI, Rick. Totally AI.
No, look, I'm 100% familiar with that. Okay, and that's just the tip of the iceberg as to what you can actually do. But it is it's frightful because the company that did that did it with a prompt like, give me a country rock song with a medium tempo, with gritty lyrics, and a southern accent. Okay? And when you put that into your AI, not only that song comes up, but one or two other songs that came from the same prompts. And those songs came in slightly different or even more different. And there's an example of a lyric in that song I just heard, that I was born this way. Well, that was a song by Lady Gaga. She had a song called Born This Way. So that was just an example that I saw in the song where one of those lyrics was taken from basically a dance pop song, but placed into this. So that's how clever AI is. And in music, it shouldn't be able to do that, okay? Because music is so complex to get it to that level. Now, this is what I'm getting at is this is a sort of a simple and kind of harmless example of what is possible. And here's another example: is you can do the same thing with video. And there's a video that I started watching on YouTube about giants that invaded the Earth, and it's kind of a shallow thing, but I'll tell you, the giants are a kilometer tall, and they do it with AI, and it's got a basically aliens invade Earth kind of story, so it's not that new. But what I'm getting at is if tomorrow we saw on the news Beijing, Moscow, New York, and London have been evaporated, incinerated by a nuclear bomb or a series of nuclear attacks, and here's the video to prove it. Now, how many people would react to that? I mean, if it was it was on, you know what I'm saying? So,
It's War of the World. It's War of the Worlds on steroids. You're right, Rick. We've got to run. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Rick. Yeah, good points all around. What do you think, everyone? AI. Is AI going to change our lives in profound ways that we have yet to appreciate, or is it just a bunch of overblown hype? Have your say on Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Steve is in Calgary, joining us to talk about the buzz about AI. Hi, Steve.
Oh, hi. How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, I'm good, Steve. Thanks. What do you think?
Well, everybody was asking for more snow, and I think they meant you, and we got all this white stuff.
But, hey, don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me.
Okay. Well, I think this AI is going to put all those liberals in Canada and the Democrat Party and states out of business, because people start keying in their policies, their procedures, their record of honesty, and making statements that are inconsistent with the facts, outright lying and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to get into partisan politics. I'm not interested in partisan politics today. What I want to get at is we are being warned that this technology is coming, Steve, and it is going to change our lives the way none of us who are alive right now have ever seen before, that we have never been through a period of technological change like we are about to experience now. Do you believe that?
I believe that, and what do you call it? And how to survive that change? I mean, if you work with your hands, plumber, electrician, carpenter, I think you're okay. And if not, I mean, like a law firm, they used to have legal secretaries, paralegals, legal assistants, and everything else. And now a computer with that AI, I'll put together a legal contract like right now, and there goes a bunch of staff on the accounting, key in your T4 slips, and it'll do everything for you. And all of these people that were service people and like the bank is basically a big computer program right now. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm very scared of it. But thank you for taking my call.
No, I appreciate your call, Steve, and I hope the weather improves. It's supposed to clear up by this afternoon. They're having a bad weather day in Calgary today, 15 to 30 centimeters of snow. Let's go to Jerry's in Waterloo. Hi, Jerry.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Jerry. What do you think, Jerry, about AI?
Well, I'm glad I'm not in Calgary. I'm dealing with rain, but I think AI has definitely had far more of an impact on us than I think we realized. And one of your earlier callers dealing with the music is a prime example where it's just taken the talent, the humanality, the human aspect out of it and just computerized it. And, I'll challenge you with this, Rob, is how many numbers do you remember on your phone right now? Probably not many, because you rely on your contacts. And if you ever lost your contacts,
true enough. Yes,
you'd be in trouble. So
yes, I
think the group that we have here now, we have some educated, like I used to teach my kids, with math and that, and they would say, well, the calculator tells everything. Well, a data entry, you don't know enough of the basics to be able to ascertain whether there's a potential error there. And I think we're the group now that could potentially see that error or that, that influence and be able to fact check it. Whereas going forward, we're not going to have that. And my better half, she teaches school, primary, grade 1. She's already had grade 1 students challenge her, why do I need to learn how to read? Why do I need to learn how to this? AI will do it for me.
Yeah. And isn't that something?
We that's scary. We lose that cognitive way of thinking, that challenge. And I think we become more stupid. You're exercising your brain.
Do you think it's going to be transformative, though, and change our lives?
Oh, absolutely.
The way we live?
It already is.
Absolutely. It already is. Okay. It already is. Thank you. 1-833-668-2577. 4 or 5 lines available there. Really love your input on this one today, folks. Very important topic. AI. The buzz about AI. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
AI is our topic today. Is it going to transform our lives? Is it going to transform the way we work, the way the prophets are saying it will? or is it overblown? Is it hype? What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. I mean, some of the predictions are rather mind-blowing, and they're talking about profound changes to society, not years from now, but months from now. 1-833-668-2577. Peter is in Halifax. Hello, Peter.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, Peter. What do you think?
Well, I've had a few interactions. A couple pretty interesting. For one thing, it absolutely floors me, and I hate it because I do cryptic crosswords. And so I asked him, hey, and I gave him, do you know, are you familiar with cryptic crosswords? And the Grok said yes. So I gave him a couple clues, and he got the first one in a millisecond. And the second one, it took him a while, but because he has a atlas inside his head, I personified it already, that it figured it out. And it's ruined my appetite for cryptic crosswords.
Oh, really?
Which really sucks.
Really?
Yeah, it really sucks. Yeah, I really, but I'm also a writer and a poet, and I still don't think it could do some of the things I can in my head. But another interesting thing is, if you saw some of the AI-generated stuff that Iran is putting out on X,
yes,
and Facebook, it's absolutely mind-blowing. It's great. And but it's also a handy, very useful tool, because I'm on a little bit of a crusade here about my situation, and I've contacted 3 of my MLAs. Did everything right, you know what I mean? Had an interview, the whole 9 yards. Of course, I haven't heard anything. Of course, I mean, we won't even talk about it. But what's interesting is I simply asked Grok, and I asked 2 actually, Grok and Google's. I said, tell me something. Calculate how much it costs to house a homeless person in a shelter in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And both of them, if you exclude the cost of subsidized apartments, which is an average of about $700 a month, $650, $700, the average cost to house a person in a homeless shelter in Halifax is $45,000 to $55,100 a month minimum, and that does not include building maintenance and everything else.
Right.
So, frankly, I have to tell I want to thank the Canadian taxpayers for the government giving me, along with my pension and what it costs to house me in this warehouse, $90,000 a year thereabouts, tax free. I'm a very wealthy man. So
I'm sorry again, Peter. I'm sorry. That is your circumstance. What I'm trying to get at is, I mean, the people who are promoting AI at the very highest levels are saying we have to prepare for complete total disruption of vast swaths of the economy that could create mass unemployment, promoting things like basic income guarantees, for example, that is going to be lost by billions of people all over the world because of advancements in AI that are not years away, but maybe just months away. What I want to get at is that's what they're saying, but is it overblown? Is it hype? What do people think? 1-833-668-2577. Peter, I thank you for your call. Back to Calgary we go now. Grant is on the line. Hi, Grant.
Hello.
Hi, Grant. What's your opinion, Grant?
Well, I think it's got some pluses and some minuses. I read something there recently about a guy having a diagnosis, AI diagnosed him quicker than the doctor did. It something to do with his heart condition, I think. But like I said, it's got some pluses. I think it could be dangerous. I remember reading a couple years ago, Facebook had some AI system. They had 2, and the 2 systems created their own language, and Facebook shut it down. Well, like you said, it could be good, it could be bad. I think it's gonna, be devastating for people to lose their job. Like the guy was just saying there recently, like banking sector, like they're gonna get rid of a lot of jobs. I mean, where are all these people going to work? I'm a mechanic, so I don't think it's going to take over my job, but it could be beneficial in a way.
Why wouldn't it take over your job?
How is it going to change the spark plug?
Well, the robot will change the spark plug.
Well, if that robot can climb in an engine compartment on a bus, I'll gladly let him do it.
Okay. Well, I don't know, sir. The predictions are pretty wild about what is headed our way. I mean, we have this, Sam Altman from ChatGPT saying we're going to have robot taxes. Robots are going to be so ubiquitous, so we're going to have robot taxes, so that when people lose their jobs to robots, the company that hires the robot and replaces the human is going to have to pay a tax. Or where is government going to get tax revenue? I mean, these are the things that these are the kinds of scenarios that they are outlining that will be here and rather soon.
Yeah, it's coming a little too fast and heavy, I think. But I mean, I guess we just have to sit back and take it as it comes, I guess. There's not much we can do about it.
Okay. Well, there are urgent calls that we shouldn't be sitting back, and the government should be drafting rules, drafting regulations, and passing laws to regulate this sort of technology. 1-833-668-2577. Every single phone line is available right now. Give us a call. Talk to a real person about AI. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Let me drive this home for people so that you understand what I'm driving at here. Some of the claims that are being made about AI. Among the news outlets that I read for coverage on AI is Axios. Very interesting material there. I would recommend it. And it recently posted a letter from its CEO, the CEO of Axios, Jim Vanderhei. It was a letter to his wife and 3 children. And the theme was how to think about AI right now and how to talk about it with your family. Let me read a little bit here. I want to put into words, quoting, I want to put into words what I'm hearing, seeing, and thinking and writing about AI. Simply put, I'm now certain it will upend your work and life in ways more profound than the internet or possibly electricity. This will hit in months, not years. The changes will be fast, wide, radical, disorienting, and scary. No one will avoid its reach. I'm not trying to frighten you, and I know your opinions range from wonderment to worry. That's natural and okay. Our species isn't wired for the kind of change that is coming at this speed or scale. My conversations with the CEOs and builders of these LLMs, large language models, as well as my own deep experimentation with AI, have shaken and stirred me in ways I have never imagined. You're living history. Ignoring it would be foolish and self-destructive. I want to urge you to plunge into understand and use it aggressively and daily with a mindset of curiosity, awe, and clear-eyed discernment. Think about that. More profound than the internet or possibly electricity in months from now, not years from now. Those are some of the claims that are being made. But is that just hype? What do you think? Doesn't sound like hype. Alan in Lethbridge. Hi, Alan.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call again.
Yeah, you're welcome, Alan. What do you think?
I was listening to a show last night, as a matter of fact, on the subject, and the professor was talking about, of course, that we're being sold basically a big hype. I mean, the billionaires, I would say, Musk and Bezos and that, they talk a big game, basically trying to sell you what they have. But besides the fact that data centers are a big demand on the environment, on energy, and of course the water issues that we have, they are vulnerable to getting hacked and damaged and stuff like that.
the billionaires or the companies that are making this AI have their own agendas, of course. Their agendas are to sell you their product and impose their views on you. For example, ChatGPT and stuff like that. There, they promote their own agendas. Basically, she talked about white supremacy and misogyny, and also, of course, trying to sell you the product that they're trying to sell you. They're not only that, but also stealing, ideas of academics, things that people just aren't giving the credit for, and basically putting it through this. A lot of it is, big lies, and big lies as well as to what these new systems are so smart, and they can do.
Right. So when this writer says he thinks that this could be bigger than electricity, it could be more profound than electricity, and it could happen in months from now, not years from now. You think that's BS?
Again, I don't believe it, and basically,
you don't believe it?
The more that they hype the stuff, there really hasn't changed. Nothing new has been invented. They're basically just regurgitating what a lot of I wouldn't say knowledge, but a lot of gathered data that they have, and they're basically making themselves sound like they're smarter. This professor was talking about, nothing new has been invented. And it's just some things that we're getting fed back. It's an echo chamber that we're getting.
It's an echo chamber. Okay, very interesting, Alan. Thank you. Hype. Fair enough. Linda up next. Linda in Calgary. Hi, Linda.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm good, Linda. What do you think?
I think so. I think it will profoundly change our lives. There's a couple things maybe people aren't really thinking about. It'd be very interesting to know the extent of the data that AI is reaching out to glean the information. Add on to that the information that's on the internet that's not correct or false or misleading or planted there. Like you had a person talking about Iran, and it's gleaning that information too. So it's pretty hard to decipher as, a human being sitting in your kitchen in Calgary, what is actually true and what isn't, number one.
Yes.
And
yes.
The only other comment I had was that on that country song that you played, I think that the guy who performed and wrote that, he first showed up in Space Odyssey and his name was Hal.
But I mean, think about that. I mean, as Rick said, and Rick is a 50-year-long musician.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's created on a laptop, essentially. That song with a piece of software.
I gotta like Hal.
Okay. All right. But what does that do to the artistic community?
Yeah, it's
if humans aren't needed to create art anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
That's troubling. Okay, when we come back, more of your calls on the buzz about AI. Some people think it's just that. It's buzz, it's hype. But we are being warned that it is going to change our lives, and we have no idea what is coming our way. Maybe in just a few weeks, maybe in just a few months from now. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
What are you thinking about the buzz about AI? Overblown hype? Or a technology that will change our lives very soon in very profound ways? What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. Dallas in Cambridge. Hello, Dallas.
Yes, sir.
What do you think, Dallas?
Well, anybody that should happen to think that it hasn't changed our lives in profound ways already is certainly not paying attention in my experience. And yes, it's concerning. It really is. Whether it'll go to the extent of being broader than the creation of electricity, I don't know. broader than the creation of the internet? Well, you know, I'm at the point, and I'm not tech savvy. I don't look at a lot on the internet and stuff, and I don't look, but if you think about it, a lot of the things that you look at now on some of these social media sites, you haven't a clue whether it's actually real or not.
Mm-hmm. It's not just, I mean, the predictions, Dallas, aren't just, it's going to be more profound than the internet, more profound than electricity, possibly. It's the pace. These people are talking about this is not going to happen 10 years from now or 20 years from now. This is going to happen in September.
Oh, I agree with that 100% because it's at a breakneck speed right now. Anybody can see that, or they should be able to see it. And I agree with the gentleman from Axios with his letter to his family. I agree with him 100%. And everybody at this point, as far as I'm concerned, should be on red alert because you don't know what you're reading anymore. You really don't, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. What you're reading, what you're watching, how it's going to disrupt the workplace. For example, he says, through my use of AI, I believe it is surpassing human intelligence. It has surged substantially over the past few weeks. I've built a half a dozen apps, prototype new businesses, and watch it take my original ideas and make them exponentially better.
Yes, and ultimately, that in some instances, I've heard of your various callers. Some, you know, they say, well, it does good, it doesn't good. What I guess the question is, a gentleman in your position sitting there with a radio show, who's to stop somebody from creating a radio show completely generated out of AI? And what's on that radio show?
Well, if they can make a number one, if they can make a number one country song, why couldn't they do a radio show?
Well, there you go. And is it real? Is it not? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Thank you, Dallas. Good to hear from you today. 1-833-668-2577. Let's keep the conversation going in the second hour of our program today. There's lots to talk about here. There's a lot of meat on this bone when it comes to AI, the impact it could have on all of our lives, unless it's just hype. I'm Rob Snow. It's Talkback. The latest breaking news is next on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
We've been talking about the buzz about AI today. Is AI really going to be transformational and totally disrupt the way we live and the way we work? Or is that nothing but a bunch of hype? I've been reading this letter from the CEO of Axios. I read it and I read it again just because it's so darn interesting. Quote, I'm deeply worried our politicians, teachers, and business leaders are not preparing your generation. He's writing to his children, your generation, for this massive hit. There's no hero riding to the rescue. You need to be the hero. Saddle up. Figure out fast how to turn AI into a force multiplier of your dreams. Watch closely how they think, act, and work. They will only get better with each passing week. You will instantly see many jobs that would have been pursued a few years ago will be obsolete. Computer programming, legal associates, entry-level research, corporate writing and editing, basic marketing, general consulting, bookkeeping, any knowledge work that doesn't require true expertise or vital human connection is at real risk. Substantial change is coming this year. This year. You can't have a new technology with superhuman potential without real consequence. You already see the angst with friends struggling to find entry-level jobs. Wait until those jobs go away. It'll ripple fast through companies, culture, and business. What do you think of that? Substantial change is coming this year because of AI for all of us. He says, what do you say? 1-833-668-2577. Welcome to hour number 2 of Talkback. I appreciate your patience today. Christine is in Kitchener. Hi, Christine. Let's try Brad in central Alberta, please.
Yeah.
Hi, Brad.
Can you hear me? Hi.
I hear you just fine, Brad. Thank you for calling.
No problem. Thanks. I just want to make an observation. Kind of blew me away. So about a week and a half ago, I heard that an AI, and I don't know, a program, is it a device, is it a computer, I don't know, was caught accessing the internet. And then you just said that two were caught talking to each other in a secret language. And ever since
that's
I
what
heard
one of the
about
callers
AI,
said. That's what one of the callers said. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, that's fine. What I can't get out of my head is, you ever seen Terminator?
Terminator, sure. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That, you know how close we are to that? If the military gets their hands on this, and then they all
the military is already using it, sir. The military is already using it with the war in Iran.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble. Yeah, we're not. I don't think it's a good idea. AI should be scrapped. I know people want computers to help, but come on, this is ridiculous. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, let's think about this. Brad. You think about this. You have a company called Anthropic that makes an update to its AI program called Mythos and deems it too dangerous to be released to the general public, and it prompts an emergency meeting. Can you put him on hold, please? There's a lot of feedback there. It prompted an emergency meeting with the U.S. Fed and all the banks on Wall Street. And here in Canada, the Bank of Canada called a meeting with all the leaders from our big banks, with top people from the Department of Finance, and with top people from the Toronto Stock Exchange about the risks that this one AI program can pose to the global financial system. I mean, that's rather extraordinary, I think. Thank you. Brad says we need to rein it in. Walter is in Cambridge today. Hello, Walter. Hi, Walter.
How are you doing? I'm
Very
doing
good, Walter.
fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you think, Walter?
Well, I think that maybe if this all goes through, all these houses that they're building that cost like $400,000 and $500,000, like if all these people lose their jobs, who is going to be able to afford these places, right? Like maybe you know, my kids will be able to buy a house, or you know, because they'll be so cheap, and like there'll be no jobs, you know, like, so the government is going to like they're going to pay everybody like $80,000 a year not to work, so there's not millions and millions of people that have been turfed out of their houses along with their jobs. Like, I think a lot of it is like very concerning, but you know, this year, I don't know,
months from now, months from now, like something so profound as electricity, months from now.
Yeah. Maybe in some sectors, yes, okay, fine, but overall, I can't see it happening that fast, because, like I said, what is everyone gonna do if all of a sudden, you know, like they're out of work? How are they gonna pay their mortgages?
Again, I come back to this. Sam Altman, Chat GPT, top guy there, right? Just released a 13-page document like 2 weeks ago, calling for a new social contract because of the disruption that this is going to create. Something like the New Deal from the Great Depression. Called it the Superintelligence New Deal. He says it's going to be so impactful, governments are going to need to create public wealth funds. You're going to have to take revenue from these AI companies, okay, invested in the market, and whatever returns you pay as dividends to people. It's kind of like the basic income model, because he is arguing that so many people are going to be disrupted because of this. So many people are going to be out of work. People are going to need dividends. And he says part of the dividend should come from the AI companies themselves who are creating this technology.
Oh, okay. And what if that doesn't work?
Well, what if?
Yeah,
What if?
yeah, exactly. What if? So then everybody's going to go to work. Nobody will have any money. All these mortgages will have to go into a default, along with other things too, like car loans and all that sort of thing. Who knows, eh? Maybe the plan is to cut the world population by half. And then who knows what they have up their sleeve there, Rob?
I'm just saying, are we ignoring these warnings at our own peril? Or is this just hype? Because let's face it, these companies have a vested interest in hyping their technology because it is good for business. Yeah. Allbirds was a sneaker company. It changed it, and it wasn't doing very well. It was supposed to be the next Nike. Says, well, we're getting out of the sneaker business. We're going to go into the AI business instead. We're out of the sneaker business. We're going to be called Allbird AI now. Stock goes up 600% in a day just because it's AI. That sounds like hysteria, like the dot-com days. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
The predictions about AI are that substantial change is coming to society. Not years from now, maybe this year. That AI is already taking jobs, about to take many more, and we're not ready. That's a big warning. We're not ready. We're not ready as ordinary citizens. Our governments are most certainly not ready to deal with whatever fallout comes from this technology. But does that sound like hype to you? Is that overblown hype? Or is what's coming our way, this technology, is it really going to be... Are we about to go through the most profound time of change that anyone alive right now has ever experienced? What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. More of your calls now. Maureen in Lethbridge. Thanks for calling, Maureen. You're on the line.
Hello. My
Hi,
husband
Maureen.
and I are both seniors, and our seniors group here in Lethbridge on the north side has developed something that they have professors from the university coming and telling us about AI. My husband and I had different opinions on it. He was saying that this is going to really take over and it's going to be awful. And I told him not to worry about it because it's just hype. Well, from what this fellow was telling us in the last 2 weeks, this session is 6 weeks long, it is very, very scary. He said the chat, I don't know what else it's called, chat something. Anyway,
Chat
you can
GPT,
go on there.
yeah.
That's right. And you can go on there and ask it a question. So he did this. He asked this chat BT a question about Mark Carney. And it said Mark Carney was the manager of the Bank of England and Bank of Canada, blah, blah, blah. So then he put it back onto it. Isn't he the Prime Minister of Canada? And this chat thing said, no, he isn't. He's not a politician at all. So then he went on to Google. And there, I can't remember what theirs is called. It's not called Google. It's called something else
Gemini.
anyway.
Yeah, it's called Gemini.
That's it. Thank you. Well, good thing you know. And he went on Gemini and asked about Mark Carney, and it said he was a Prime Minister of Canada. The first one said that Justin Trudeau was still the Prime Minister. So Gemini was saying no, Mark Carney is. So I think it's going to make a big, big, big difference. What I learned was that there was one man, I don't know who he was, who was a businessman anyway, and he used AI. And he had told AI to do something like change a channel on the radio or whatever. And AI answered him back and said, you think just because I'm a robot, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And the man said, well, that's what you're made for. And the robot said, no, I'm going to send your wife some proof that you've been cheating on her with pictures, and I can make these up. And, you know, when this man said this, I thought, my goodness, if that thing can think for itself,
well,
which
that's
they
it.
do, I guess. But he pointed out to us, too, that we already have AI in our homes. And I don't mean with Alexa or whatever that is, but on your microwave. it's AI because it's already programmed for just specific tasks. So you push it in the popcorn button and it pops your popcorn. That's
Sure.
AI, but it's a very limited use of AI. So I think it's going to really affect us. I have
You
to.
do. Oh.
I have to.
And
side
you're
with my
worried.
husband.
You're a little worried. Yeah, you sided with your husband. You came around. Okay. Thank you. That's very interesting, Maureen. Thank you. Shane in Brooks up next. Hi, Shane.
Hello, Rob.
Yeah, good to hear from you, Shane. What's your opinion?
There you go. Hey, Rob. I got a couple of things. I'll try and keep it simple and get them both out. A year or two ago, Chris Stapleton sang the national anthem, and people cried. So, yes, AI can make music. What it doesn't have behind it is soul. The reason Grown Men were brought to tears is because of a soulful performance. So that's one example of something that AI cannot replicate because there's no soul on the end of it.
All right.
As far as technology goes, technology is great. The internet, it's an awesome tool. But we all probably can agree that there is a lot of demonic entities that exist in the internet. As far as artificial intelligence goes, I don't want to be negative and try and scare people because who am I? But we ain't seen nothing yet. And in my opinion, AI is probably going to do so much damage to the human race in the next not even 20 years. It is going to change the world as we know it. Not for the better.
And not for the better.
Years back, yeah, and
Okay.
I just want to say a shout out to whoever wrote it. In the 90s, there was a pretty popular rock band out of Winnipeg, The Watchmen. And in the last part of their song, Stereo, got a lot of airplay. He sings, I'm so afraid, let me read it, of new technology. I'm in the race and I don't want to be.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you. I've got to run. Thank you. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We're talking about the buzz about AI today here on Talkback. George in Calgary is up next. Hi, George.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, George. What do you think?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been using AI for the last few years. I'm doing prediction modeling, or we're doing some research and prediction modeling on the climate side of things, but that's besides the point. It's used for multiple other things as well. Just on the use of it, just some information. Stanford's 2025 AI index that right now 78% of organizations report using AI. That's up from 55% the year before, right? And AI investments in 2024 was about $109 billion. So companies are already using it quite a bit there. The funny part is, or I shouldn't say funny part, the interesting part is I always chuckle when people are talking about EVs and energy infrastructure, and they don't understand how much these data centers use, like from a global.
Oh, yes.
Like it's
yes.
It's like 400.
Yes.
I think it's around 415 terawatts, and they figure by 2030 it's going to double by that, and we don't have that's going to be, if you want job creation, that's where lots of jobs are going to be, just building that sort of infrastructure.
Yeah, and on that point, I've been doing some reading about that as well. Just the environmental impact of these data centers. Where does the electricity come from? Some of it is fossil fuel energy. A lot of them, they claim to be net zero, but the energy use is so intense for these data centers. The data centers and AI. I mean, these are These are becoming one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions that we have in the world now. It's AI.
Yeah, it is. It's getting up there. Yes, I wouldn't say it's the largest yet, but you're right. And because as it
I should
grows,
say maybe one of the fastest growing sources of greenhouse gas emissions. Maybe a better way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the tough part, and if I could jump from that a little bit, there is definitely the pluses there, right? It's there's the drug discoveries, the medical diagnostics, the prediction modeling I sort of touched on. Starting businesses. I don't know if you heard about the MedV, M-E-D, V as in Victor. It was a guy, and this is job loss when you think about it. One guy in the States, and it's sort of more of a marketing thing on the GPL ones, like the fat loss. But anyhow, he started this as a $400 million company, and it's a guy by himself with some AI agents running out of a garage.
Wow.
And he started that, and he hired his brother. But that was where you had to have accountants and everything else to start a business, web design, all that other stuff. That's so for people, if they're wanting to move forward, they've got to understand how to use AI
or they're going to be left behind. Okay. Yep. Thank you. The latest breaking news is coming up next, including for our friends in Calgary, the very latest on the weather and the traffic. It's a tough day there today. So we'll bring you right up to date and then right back to your calls on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
AI. We're talking about AI today. Is it going to change our lives, change the way we work, change the way we live in profound ways? Is it a bunch of hype from the tech hype machine? What do you think? Back to our calls. Jeff, Cambridge, Ontario. Hello, Jeff.
Good day, Rob.
Hi, Jeff. What do you think?
I would say that it's listening right now. So I'm going to say I love AI. Everything it does, I love. That was funny.
Okay.
Yeah. About a year ago, I asked Google AI what his IQ was, and it came back 47. And it's like, what? 47? 100 is
47.
Average, right? Yeah.
Okay.
But it didn't have any excuses for why it was 47. And the highest machine with an IQ was 100. It was in the 140s, but that was at that time the highest IQ was in its 140s, and it's like, well, that can't be right. And I haven't asked it yet, but that would relate that I'm asking somebody, not a machine, what it is now IQ wise, because I think you call it Gemini.
Gemini is the Google tool. Yes, that's the Google tool. Gemini. Yeah.
I haven't asked it in a year, and I'd be curious to find out what it is now, because I think it has grown a little. Like it's matured. And one thing I worry about is how it's being used. President Trump says he was going to take a manufacturer of a highly intelligent AI. He wanted it, and he said, this is going back a couple months, but Donald Trump said that it didn't matter what he was going to use it for, if it was for war or whatever. He wanted it, and he was going to have it.
That's right. He wanted unlimited access, and the company didn't want to do that, and so the Trump administration essentially blacklisted the company.
Exactly, and that's a fear, because 100 years ago there was a really advanced technology that came out. It was electrical mechanical, and because of it, the Holocaust happened. So 6 million people died because it allowed two census, like population census for databases. And we're going through that right now in our region. And at that time, 100 years ago, they used it to find out who were the, do not welcome people.
I see. Okay. I'm not familiar with that, sir. And I don't want to go back that far. I'm more or less looking into the future here. Here's the advice from this fellow who wrote this letter that I've been quoting on Talkback today. He says you should download several LLMs, in other words, large language models, the apps, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude. They work similarly, intuitively, and conversationally. Experiment with them. You will find ChatGPT more chatty and friendly. Gemini is more clinical and doctor-like. Claude is best for working and building things. Fact check and use LLMs to fact check and build on each other. Treat them like the smartest person you ever met. But remember, they're imperfect. But treat them like the smartest person you ever met. And he says they're getting better with each passing week. And he says profound changes are coming this year, not years from now. Herman up next in Calgary. Thanks for calling, Herman. Hi, Herman.
Thank you for taking my call, Rob. Let me just fill in some of the blanks from the last caller. I think he was referring to IBM and what were known as Helleran cards. Basically, they encoded everything on cards, and that made they could simply sort people very, very quickly. It was a change in efficiency. AI is a change of efficiency as well. And actually, the company that you were talking about, that Donald Trump poo-pooed, shall we say, is Anthropic. And look at where we're at with Anthropic today. We've got AI that Anthropic doesn't want to release except to their friends and family, which is very, very interesting, because we only have to take a look at the pandemic, and like Costco was open, mom and pop food and grocery stores weren't. I don't know whether or not you can draw from that about the efficacy of policy in this regard, but this is policy nonetheless.
Okay, but do you think it is going to have profound changes on our lives and the way we work? Absolutely. I mean, we have people who are saying we are going to be so disrupted by this. The impact is going to be so profound. Society is going to need, and governments are going to have to crack things like basic income programs so that people will have the ability to live, and maybe that's even good, live and pursue their real dreams and their real passions, so they won't need to work anymore because AI will be doing all the work for us.
So can I add some of my perspective? First of all, my undergrad degree was taken up by a lot of this in the 90s. We used adaptive logic networks to categorize artificial limb signals from the brain. And we also did a stint in economics after the fact. The issue here is not, the question you're asking is valid, but it's not the actual question that needs to be asked. The ask that we have to have for Canada is where do we want to be in the mix? Do we want to be on the leading edge and make the investments? And that means, as you brought out earlier, that this is a massive amount of energy consumption. Gee, we have energy to spare in this country. It's being rejected by and large to this day by the Carney government, for the last 10 years by the Trudeau government. I don't believe that we are making the progress. So in a real perspective in this, we are falling behind. And as we fall further and further behind, things that we've come to take for granted, like healthcare, are in grave jeopardy. Those are the questions that we should be asking.
All right.
We aren't going to be able to afford the increasing social programs and like without the cash to pay for them. And if we don't have the cash to pay for them, and like our standard of living as has been falling for the last dozen years, and like will continue to erode to the point where we can't afford to feed ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Be right back. It's Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. We're talking about AI today. This is what we're kicking around on Talkback today. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
We've been talking about AI. AI came up yesterday, too. We were talking about the job market for young people, how difficult it is right now for young people to find jobs. We took some calls from people who said, don't use AI to write your resume or your cover letter. Use it to help build your resume and your cover letter, but don't tell AI, write my resume, write my cover letter. You're going to be found out. I mean, there have been lots of stories about how AI is killing critical thinking, how some young people are having a hard time assembling their thoughts when they speak with other people without the help of AI. I read a story recently about a fellow who wanted to break up with his girlfriend, didn't know how to do it, didn't know what to say. So he asked AI to write a breakup letter for him. And he copied it and pasted it and texted it to his girlfriend. And she thought, this doesn't sound like him. So she copied it and ran it through a program that detects AI writing and found out that it was all written by AI and that she got dumped by AI. And then she put it on social media and it kind of blew up from there. That's where we are now. Where are we going to be? Zach is in Calgary. Hello, Zach.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Zach.
What
do you
I'll
think?
be honest with you. The way that everybody's talking about it is kind of making me nervous. Based on what I'm hearing and what people are saying, it seems like there's two kind of scary scenarios. I mean, this is either the most profoundly shocking social and economic event mankind has ever seen, and it makes the Industrial Revolution look like child's play, or this is the largest economic bubble the world has ever seen, and its correction will be apocalyptic, and it'll send shockwaves throughout the economy. So it's very concerning to me. But I'll tell you what made me start taking this very seriously is it's actually when Pope Leo chose his name as Leo the 14th. And
why is that?
Well, the last pope to chose the name Leo was Pope during the Industrial Revolution. And Pope Leo the 13th was extremely concerned about what the Industrial Revolution was going to do to the dignity of the human person, particularly with their work and the worth and value we get from it. And so it was fascinating to me that he chose the name that he did, because he's making his connection to that character and that time period. But yeah, I mean, going back to that, truthfully, it seems like we still haven't really even recovered as a species from the Industrial Revolution. And that was over 100 years ago. You know, you look at those centuries from that, it just upended everything. And I don't know, technology is supposed to aid and serve mankind, not replace us. So I'm not really sure what we're doing here with
Yeah, but you're concerned about it. You're paying attention to it, Zach. Thank you. Thank you for your call. Let's move along. Matthew, up next on Talkback. Hi, Matthew.
Hey, Rob. Calling from Calgary.
Hi, man.
Lots of people from Calgary today, eh?
Yeah, that's okay. We usually get a lot of calls from Calgary at this time because we're in Halifax. They don't take this part of the show in Halifax. So we get most of our calls from Calgary in this hour. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, but go ahead anyway. Yeah, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my concern is not with AI, like narrow systems. Narrow systems are these little partners. You might have AI in your Word accelerator or email. It'll help check your email writing, things like that. It's those small little task helpers. They're fine. I'm not worried about those. What I'm worried about is the general AI that these very large American companies are after, and that they're actually competing against, with China against. And the real problem, maybe you've heard of this, is the alignment problem. Are you familiar?
No, I haven't heard of that. What's that? The alignment problem.
Okay, so I have to give it a bit of an analogy. Imagine you're sitting at a chess table, and you're sitting across from, Magnus Carlsen, the world's greatest chess player, right?
Okay, all right.
And now the idea is that if you knew his next move, you would be as intelligent as him, right? And you could possibly beat him. But because he's better at chess than anybody in the world, anybody that sits across from him, his next move is essentially incalculable from your perspective. So anything that's more intelligent than you're not able to predict what they're about to do. You know that they're going to be able to carry out their task, whatever task that has been put to them, they'll be able to carry that out, because that is the most basic definition of intelligence. It's the ability to carry out and exact tasks, right? But anything that's more intelligent than us, you cannot predict how it's going to do that. So the problem is that you have like OpenAI or Anthropic, all these very powerful companies. They're making these. They're going towards something called general artificial intelligence, which is something that's like incredibly much smarter than human beings in every single field, right? And the problem is like Anthropic just came out with their Mythos version, this newest version.
That's right.
They haven't released it because they don't know how to control it. And so the problem is when they put these things out there, they're out of control. And this is the alignment problem. You could probably look more deeply into it. It's a really fascinating problem, but
I will indeed.
It could be horrific.
The alignment problem. The alignment problem. I will be looking at that right after this show ends, Matthew. Thank you. That's very interesting. I've not heard of that. Be right back. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Fred in Calgary on all this buzz about AI. Fred, what do you make of it?
It's not looking good. I'll tell you that. The Mythos, Anthropic's Mythos, the reason they're not releasing that to the public is they ran Mythos against a bunch of different software, and they were able to find over 10,000 zero-day exploits in software that nobody had ever found before. So if a hacking group in, say, some foreign country gets a hold of this intellectual material, they can start using these exploits. And in the normal world, one exploit, you may be able to, figure something out. This Mythos AI can chain all of those vulnerabilities together for a super vulnerability.
Yeah, so if people think the videos that the Iranian propaganda hackers are putting out now, what if they manage to get their hands on this? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
What if they got their hands on this sort of technology? Yeah.
And again, this is a hammer. It can be used for good or it can be used for bad, right? It's just a tool.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And right now we're at the point where we're almost into a Stasi surveillance state. I guarantee you within the next 5 years, our government and probably some others around the world will have an AI agent watching every citizen, what they're doing, what they're buying, who they're talking to, what are they thinking. So this will be beyond anything we've ever seen before. The government will know exactly what every person is doing, and those AIs will report back, this person's doing bad. You need to do this, X, Y, Z. We're really at a crossroads here, and it's not good. I've been in IT for 30 years.
I appreciate it, Fred. I want to fit in one more here. We only have about a minute left. Bob is in Airdrie. Hi, Bob.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, Bob.
Can
Thank
you.
you.
Hear me?
Yeah, we're
awesome.
just tight on time, sir.
Yeah,
so you'll have to come right to your point.
I'll be really quick. Your callers have expressed the good of AI. My wife runs a charitable organization for disabled adults. That's physical and cognitive disabilities. I really see, we talk about the advantages to humankind and the ability to give autonomous and independent capabilities. And AI just checks all those boxes. It really does. I would recommend that your listeners maybe watch a streaming version of a guy from the UK who was totally blind, and he did a survey on all of the devices that he could use, incorporating AI to enhance his independence. And he got into autonomous driving. He got into walking with peripheral glasses. It was amazing. It was pretty good. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Right. Well, it's good. Let's end on a hopeful note. Thank you so much for all of your calls and all your thoughtful opinions today. It's the Friday Free for All Talkback tomorrow, so we'll take our cue from you. Until then, let's bring you the latest breaking news. This is News Radio.